what's going on, guys? So, Florida State played on Saturday, and they won against the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. So, first win of the season. That's always happy about that. But I just, I'm still frustrated. And I've mentioned this before, and it's still a problem. It's the targeting call. Um, it's just so it's such a big such a large penalty being ejected from the game. We had a player that was ejected last week, and since he was ejected in the second half, he was not allowed to play for the first half of this game. And that's just ridiculous, especially since I don't believe that it was a targeting call on him. And that's the problem. There was another targeting call made in this game this week, and this time it was on Derwin James. And Derwin James is our best player. He's arguably the best player in the country. But so pass went across the middle. Derwin James. See, if this is in the NFL, if this is pro football, no one would say anything at all. He launched, and the receiver caught the ball, and Derwin James was trying to hit the ball out. Um, Very standard for pros, and that's what they're preparing for. All these players are fully aware that this is what they're going to be expected to do in the upcoming years. Maybe next year for Derwin James. So that's just being a good defensive back, is playing through the play, trying to hit the ball out, even after the receiver caught it. So, but it was taken back. They did not call Derwin James for targeting after that. Or they called him for targeting, and then they took the penalty back. So, um, I'm happy about that. But if you look at last week, you compare Derwin James' hit from this week and Pugh's hit from last week. Derwin James' hit was much more easily targeting than last week. Derwin James didn't get targeting, but Pugh did. So it's just very confusing, and this is the problem. The problem is that it's such a high stakes penalty call. You eject a player from a game and possibly from the next game, and it's anytime targeting happens, bam, you're out. No, there's no avoiding it, and but it's such a gray area call. It's a lot of ifs in this call, right? It's not very black and white. You see face mask, grab the player's face mask, pull him to the ground. There you go. Roughing the kicker, hit the kicker falls over. It's very black and white. But this one, it's like, oh, if he throws his helmet at him, or if he pushes up, if it's in this area, then it could be. It's just so you need to do something about this. The NCAA really needs to take a look at this, because it's very confusing as a fan, but it's even more confusing as a player. I understand that the targeting call was put in place to try to take. I think it's the main thing is to take concussions out of the game. They're trying to make it a safer game to play, and I can support that. I'm always for helping take injuries out. I don't think injuries are a part of the game. I think that we're all trying to play a safe football game, but football's rough. There's people hitting people, so there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Get better equipment, but it's just hard fundamentally changing the game that's been around for so long, and people get hit. It happens. Everybody knows when they sign up. They know that they're running a risk when they play football. Nobody's out here to get a foot massage, you know. But that being said, um, I do support the, unnecessary roughness calls and just the body slams, taking those out. I can support that because we're not trying to hurt players out here. So that's why, because on the surface I could support targeting, but you either have to define it, which is going to be a lot harder, or what I would suggest is having a warning targeting first, a preliminary warning. So player gets hit, targeting's called, then you say, all right, well, that's targeting, so 15 yards, whatever. And then on the next targeting call for that player, you're ejected. I think that would make, because it's easy to mess up targeting once, but it's hard to mess up targeting twice, I think, in one game at least. So I'm a little sick, sorry about that, but it's just such the main problem is that this leaves a lot of power to the refs. And the one thing that I hate more than injuries in a football game, it's refs dictating the game. And I thought there was a little bit of this in Alabama. I'm not saying that we lost Alabama because of the refs. I'm saying that it didn't help. There was a lot of bad calls, and it makes the fans start to question, what if, and it's just frustrating. So I do think that the targeting call there needs to be another look at the targeting call. It's just so hard as a defensive, because I don't play football, but I do play sports, and I'm usually a defensive player, and I can relate to the defensive players that it's just so hard with all these penalties that are in place, to know what to do in these situations, because you're having to make a million different decisions in half a second. And when you're running at somebody and they catch the ball and they start to go down, and you're already starting to tackle them, how are you supposed to move your head out of the way? Your momentum's carrying you into them. So it's stuff like that. It's making it much more difficult for these defensive players. And we've seen plenty of NFL players tweet about this and talk about this, that targeting needs to be fixed, that it's just confusing for these players, and they don't have to deal with that in the next few years when they're actually getting paid for doing this. So it's just really ridiculous at this point that these players are required to think about so much and still get hit in a gray area. I'm I'm still upset about last week's targeting call. I'll play both clips real quick. So this is the play against NC State, and this is the targeting call that did stand, and this was considered targeting. Player was ejected, and he did not play the first half of this week's game. Now, on the other hand, this is the play from this week. This is Derwin James, and targeting was called, and targeting was taken back. So, if you look at this, it's so hard to say. I think that a lot of people would agree that Derwin James should have been charged with targeting in this play. I don't think that many people would say that Pugh should have been charged with targeting in the last play, and it's just this just goes to show how much of a gray area this is. This is the same team in the past 2 weeks. This is 2 calls, 2 games, 1 team, back to back, and they're just so vastly different. I just can't believe it. It's just unbelievable to me. So NCAA needs to fix this call by next year. this needs to stop. It's just so confusing to these players, and it's such a pivotal call for a game, and it's such a gray area. And for all those reasons, this needs to either be taken out or tweaked. And I think it's easier to tweak it. So, um, I'm all for players staying safe, but you need to fix this call to before you sacrifice the fundamentals of this game. But anyway, that's all that I have to say about that. So thank you for watching, and hope that you check out my other videos. Let me know in the comments, by the way, what do you think about targeting in general? If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, I'm more than happy with it. Please let me know. Again, sorry that I'm so sick. It's so weird, but let me know. Let me know what you think. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in another video.